Imagine the two most comforting soups you know collided into one shelf-stable masterpiece. You've never seen emergency meals like this before. Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Today, we're taking two classic favorites and turning them into one set it and forget it emergency pantry meal. I first saw the concept for this recipe online. There's a lady I follow on Facebook called What's Mom Cookin', and she posted a broccoli, cheddar, chicken, and dumplings. Now, you know I love a good mashup when it comes to food, and I instantly thought that would be a great meal in a bag. So I created my own version as a 100% shelf-stable recipe. If you aren't familiar with meals in a bag, they are basically a shelf-stable meal kit that contains everything you need to make a complete meal, right down to and including any water you need to prepare the meal. They are great for emergencies and power outages because you don't have to open your fridge, you don't have to go hunting around in your dark cabinets, gathering ingredients, or trying to decide what to make. Just grab a bag off the shelf, pull out your emergency stove, and get to cooking. But these meals are also great for so many more reasons. People love to take them camping to save cooler space. They take them traveling to save money on eating out. And they use them as donations to blessing boxes or really just anyone who could use a meal. And of course, they can be a lifesaver anytime you just need a quick, easy meal just at home without having to run to the store. These meals aren't just for emergencies. They're delicious home-cooked meals in their own right. So anytime you don't have a plan for dinner, don't have time for a time-consuming recipe, or you just need to maybe ask your spouse or your teen to fix supper at the last minute, just grab a bag off the shelf and you've got dinner in no time. Let's get started and I'll show you how to make this delicious broccoli, cheddar, chicken, and dumplings. These are all the ingredients we're going to need for this meal. I've got a can of chicken here. This is Keystone chicken. This is a really large can. This is a 28-ounce can of chicken. These are perfect for a big recipe like this. You could also use a couple of these larger cans of chicken, but you'd need at least two, and that wouldn't be even quite as much chicken as is in one of these Keystone. This is really good chicken. Next, I've got a jar of Ragu double cheddar cheese sauce. I've got a can of chicken broth here and a can of media crema. So this is like a light cream in a can. It's an amazing ingredient that is so good for creamy soups and all sorts of dishes. I have got a bag of freeze-dried broccoli. I'm really excited about these small bags. These are perfect for a recipe like this. So I'll have a link down below on where to get all of these ingredients. For a little bit more veggie, I have got a jar here of freeze-dried mirepoix. So this is something that comes in a bigger bag than this. So I put some into a jar to have some extra veggie in the soup. Now, mirepoix is a blend of chopped onion, celery, and carrots. So it's a beautiful seasoning blend that works great for soups and things like that. I absolutely love having this on hand, and I've been using it a ton lately. So if you want to know the best times to get it and some coupon codes to use to get it with, then a little bit later in the video, I'm going to tell you how you can get some special text messages from me with some coupon codes. If you don't have that and you don't want to get any, you could throw in a can of sliced carrots instead. But I really like the mirepoix in this. And then the other ingredients that I have over here is a bag of Just Add Water biscuit mix. We want the Just Add Water kind. This is a cheese garlic variety, but they also have plain, and you could use either one. I just thought this would be a nice touch with a little extra flavor in it. And I have a bottle of water here that we're going to use for the recipe. We don't need a lot of water, so this is an 8-ounce bottle. Just need a little bit to mix up the biscuit mix into our dumplings. But if all you have is larger bottles, you can certainly use a larger bottle and just have a little bit of extra water left over. I am going to have a little of this left over probably. But if you have extra, that's fine. Someone can drink it with their meal. Now let's go ahead and get these ingredients into the bag. All right, I'm going to start with my can of chicken, and next my jar of cheese sauce, my can of chicken broth, my jar of mirepoix, my can of media crema, my bottle of water, my bag of broccoli, and my bag of biscuit mix. There's one more thing you're going to want to add to this bag, and this is where it becomes kind of a pick your own adventure. We've made this meal just like this, just with these ingredients, and it's pretty good. But I do think it can benefit from a little seasoning. What I really like to do with this meal is include one of these Kinder's garlic and herb chicken packets. This is basically meant to season one meal. It's a packet of seasoning, salt, and everything. When I use this, I put about half of it into the soup mixture itself, and then I put about half of it in to the dumplings, and that works really well. We really like it that way, but there's some other options that you could do. if you wanted Dollar Tree sells seasonings, sometimes in very small containers like this. You wouldn't use the whole container in one recipe, but you could use whatever you needed and then save the rest of it for another meal in a bag. So this is Kickin' Chicken. I've seen them also have Mrs. Dash. I can't remember what else they have, but it's very, very small. And I've used these in meals in a bag sometimes as well. You could just put in some salt and pepper packets if you save these from restaurants, takeout, or if you can actually order them. I've also ordered them from Amazon so that I always have them on hand. You can put salt and pepper packets in and season with just salt and pepper. Or you could just leave the seasoning out until the end and let each person season theirs individually, especially if you have different dietary needs and preferences within your family. You could also put in your own seasonings, whatever you want, like, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, in some kind of container. So I save a ton of these little teeny weeny baby food containers that I get from my sister. And sometimes I'll put seasonings into one of these. Or you can use something like this as a little small Mylar pouch that you can put some seasonings in and put it into your bag. So however you want to do it, you can include whatever kind of seasoning you want in your meal in a bag and, try it out and see how you like it and then make a decision for the bags you make going forward. I do like to season the soup mixture and the dumpling mixture separately, but that's just my preference. So pick whatever seasoning you think you would like or whatever you have on hand and include it in your bag. Now this bag is all ready to go on the shelf. But I'm not going to put it on the shelf today. I'm going to show you just how this turns into a delicious, hearty meal. I'm going to use my butane stove today. Everyone should have in their home a simple way to at least cook or warm food and boil water if the power's out. And this is a really, really great option that's inexpensive and easy to store. So I definitely recommend having one of these if you don't have something else. And I am going to start with my can of chicken. You can see that the only ingredients in this are chicken and sea salt. So this is just like chicken that you had home canned at home yourself. And in here, we're going to see a little bit of liquid, which is going to be like the broth or the juice that comes out of the chicken. And usually there's a little bit of fat. So I'm going to include the liquid in my dish. The fat, it's up to you. You can either include it or remove it. And if you need to, you can use that fat to saute with for the beginning of your dish. This can opener makes really easy work of opening these cans. It's amazing. So here you can see what it looks like in the can. It's a really, really good amount of chicken for a recipe like this. I'm going to include the juice, the broth that cooked off the chicken. And now I'm just going to start breaking this chicken up into smaller pieces. Well, bite-sized pieces that we'll want for our recipe. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my cheese sauce. I'm not going to worry too much about scraping this jar out because I'm going to use the broth to help get more of this cheese out of the jar. I'm going to add in my freeze-dried mirepoix. I'm going to add in my media crema. And this, I believe, says shake well on it somewhere. Yes, shake well. It does have a nice pop top, but that is a good reminder to make sure you have a can opener of some sort on hand, a manual can opener that's not electric. And sometimes what I will do is I will include right in the bag a military, like a P53 can opener or one of those can openers, because you can buy a whole bundle of those for just a few dollars and drop them in your bags. That way, if you ever are without a can opener or you give the bag to someone who does not have a can opener, they won't be stuck. But it's nice when you have these pop tops. Now this is a nice thick cream. Yes, it says light cream, but whenever things are canned, they usually kind of get a grade sort of thicker and richer. Now I had somebody mention that they tried the media crema before they put it in a recipe and they didn't like the taste, and now they're not using it, I think is what they said. So I've been curious since I read that comment, and I'm going to give it a little taste. I don't notice really any taste or any off taste, certainly, just a creaminess. So I'm wondering if somebody got a can that maybe had gone by, but I have had cans of these for, years past their dates. And as long as the can's not compromised, so I guess just check your cans, because there shouldn't be a bad taste to this, I don't think. I've got to employ my good old can scraping spatula that I love for emptying cans like these. It's been with me a long time. It's in pretty rough shape. I used to have more than one. I've been meaning to get another one. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken broth. And I am going to use this to just get every last bit out of this jar of cheese sauce. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour this in here. Probably do it in 2 bunches. Just going to give that a shake. Dump it in. And another shake. Get as much of that out as I can. I do not like waste at all. Especially in an emergency, you really don't want to be wasting anything. So the last thing is going to be my broccoli. And what I'm going to do with this before I dump it in is I'm going to crush and crunch this broccoli up, because in my opinion, I don't know, when I have broccoli cheddar soup or broccoli cheddar anything, I kind of like it in little pieces and distributed throughout. So it's really easy to do that while it's still freeze dried. So I'm going to go ahead and open the bag first, because anytime you want to crush a bag, you want to make sure that it's open. Otherwise it could pop and you'd lose your stuff all over the place. So I'm just going to pound this with my fists and maybe crunch it up a little bit like this, and just make sure that I've got smaller bits of broccoli. And now I'm going to go ahead and dump this right in. And that is a good amount of broccoli. So I'm going to give this a stir. And I'm going to put my heat on right now. I'm putting it on high. Ooh, this broccoli smells so good. That's what I love about having freeze-dried broccoli, is that there's really no other way for you to have broccoli in your prepper pantry, to have it in your pantry shelf stable, so that if you for some reason cannot get things from the store and you don't have electricity, so you don't have things frozen, and it's not, the time of year that you could grow it in your garden, you can still have access to broccoli, because canned broccoli just doesn't really work. And dehydrated broccoli just is not the same. I should have showed you. I will show you from another bag some of these florets before I broke them up. They are just as gorgeous as they are when they're fresh, and they taste delicious. You can even snack on this, snack on it dry. It's a great healthy snack, and kids even like it because it's crunchy and they can dip it really easily. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this, bring this to a simmer. I'm going to put a lid on it so we can conserve the heat and conserve the fuel. All right, so this is definitely starting to simmer. So, and this is not going to take, this really doesn't need to hardly cook. We just need to soften up that mirepoix. The chicken is fully cooked. It's really not going to take much at all. So I'm going to put this, turn this down to a simmer and set it aside while we mix up the dumplings. And of course, at this point, you're going to want to season your recipe with whatever seasoning you've included in your bag. I like to use half of my seasoning in the actual soup mixture and half of it in the dumplings. All right, so I've got that down just as low as I can get it. And I've got a small bowl here that I'm going to end up putting my biscuit mix into. Smells really good with this cheddar garlic. Now, these biscuit mixes call for a half a cup of water to make biscuits. I use a little bit more to turn them into a dumpling because I want like a soft, scoopable consistency. So I'm going to use 3/4 of a cup. And of course, I've got my bottle of water here. We always include the water so that we have literally everything we need to make the meal. So I'm going to measure out 3/4 of a cup, which is almost all of this water, but not quite. This is about 1 cup. Now I'm just going to go ahead and dump this in here and give it a mix until it's blended. Now we're just going to mix until all the dry clumps are gone. You can see the cheese bits in here. It looks very nice. And once the dry clumps are all gone, it's time to put it into our soup. So I've got this at a simmer, and I've got my scooper, and I'm going to go just ahead and scoop this into small little dumplings that I'm going to place in different spots around my soup. As much as I can. I can't remember where I put them, and they're sinking, so I can't really see them. All right, so now that we've got our dumplings in, I am going to go ahead and cover this back up and let it simmer for 15 minutes, keeping it just a low simmer. We'll see you back here when it's done. All right, it's been 15 minutes. You can see the delicious dumplings have bubbled up, floated up to the top, and they look pretty well done. So I've turned off the heat. I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for a few minutes to cool off, and then we're going to serve it up. You can go ahead and test your dumplings if you need to, but mine are usually done after this amount of time. I kind of slightly underfilled that scoop that I used, which was not a small cookie scoop. It was like the next size up. I'll try to link to it down in the description. So that's usually plenty of time for my dumplings to get cooked at that size. All right, I am ready to serve this delicious broccoli cheddar chicken and dumplings. Let's see what's the best way to do this. Oh, this looks amazing. All right, let's give this a try. Oh wow, that is amazing. This would be an amazing, amazing meal to have on a cold winter's night. The great thing about freeze-dried products for the shelf-stable meals is it's much more nutritious than a lot of the other options that you could put in these kind of meals, because canning actually destroys about a third or more of many of the nutrients in the food. Dehydrating does too, but freeze-drying actually maintains the nutrition, and there's kind of a lot of misinformation out there. People who they're just not educated yet, because a lot of people, when they hear that a certain food is shelf stable or has a long shelf life, they have this kind of instant knee-jerk reaction against it because they associate long shelf life foods with a lack of nutrition or having a bunch of preservatives and things like that. But with freeze-dried food, that couldn't be further from the truth. There's no additives or preservatives needed for freeze-dried foods to have that long shelf life. And the food's nutrition is preserved. So like I mentioned, that the nutrition is much higher than other types of preserved foods like canned and dehydrated. But what many people don't realize is that it's even higher in nutrients than the fresh produce at your grocery store, because that food in the produce section of the grocery store is really anything but fresh. The way the supply chain works today, those foods have been picked early. Often they're chemically ripened after that, and then they're transported and they're warehoused and they're transported some more. Then they sit in your store, and then they usually sit in your fridge for some more time. And the rate at which the nutrients deteriorate in that food during that process, it's dishearteningly quick. So unless you're picking your produce yourself from your own garden and consuming it pretty much right away, which most of us can only do during a short window of time, if at all. Many people don't have that option at all. Unless you are doing that, then you're not actually getting the nutrition that you think you are. Freeze-dried produce, in contrast, is freeze-dried very quickly after harvest. Oftentimes the process begins right on or very near the farm, so it does not require that premature harvest. And the nutrition is getting locked in and preserved right away. And that is so eye-opening. When people can really wrap their mind around that, it really does change the way that you look at the food that you buy. And then the other thing you hear a lot is people saying that freeze-dried food is too expensive. They can't afford it. There is some added cost because it is a costly process, like the energy, all of that. If you've ever freeze-dried your own food, then you quickly start to understand that. But the added benefits of shelf life and nutrition and reduced waste, it cuts down on waste a lot, and it really quickly offsets that extra cost. But also remember that freeze-dried food is just like anything else you buy. If you buy smart and you're smart about how you shop and when you purchase, you can get deals, you can use coupons, and you can pay much less for the same thing, just like anything else you buy. It's not always the best idea to just go looking for the lowest price stuff that you can find anywhere crawling the internet, because often you do get what you pay for, and there are definitely some not so good sources out there, but it is smart to shop sales, use coupons on the higher quality trusted sources, and stock up when the price is lower. And we all know that food prices are always rising. So the food you stock up on today is only going to increase in value. So really, it's kind of a no-brainer. We've been helping people stock up for less for years now. I have a text alert service that you can sign up for, you can join, and it sends alerts whenever there's a new sale or coupon code. If you really don't want to miss a sale, you're going to want to join my insiders list by texting insider. I might text you up to 2 to 3 times a week during the busiest times of the year, depending on how many sales are going on. It's usually not that much, but it could be at certain times. And if you want to hear about some sales and coupons, but you don't want to hear from me that often, you can text alert instead of insider, and then you can get on my regular list, and I'll only text you about 2 to 3 times a month if you're on that list. So you might miss out on some sales or coupons, but I do like people to have that choice. We just had so many people requesting the more frequent texts, so that's why I created the insiders list as another option. And then the other thing is tryfreezedried.com. Check out that website, bookmark it, visit it often, remember it, because that's one place that you can go to find a lot of the best sales and coupon codes all in one place, always updated. So tryfreezedried.com. It's an easy one to remember. Go check it out. I do have a printable recipe card for this meal that we made today. You can download that for free and print it out to include in or on your bags when you make them up. Go to mealinabag.com and get the printable, and you can also see exactly how I use those printables, as well as a list of different supplies that I use when I make my meals in a bag. I do recommend that every new recipe you make like this, you always try it out once and fix it up for your family before you put it away. That way you can make sure that you like it and not just take my word for it, because everyone has different tastes. We don't all like the same things. If you try it and you do like it, then you can go ahead and make up the bags to stash on your shelf or to give them away. I have a whole playlist of this kind of recipes, so you can have weeks and weeks worth of meal rotation all stocked up and ready to go on your shelves if you so desire. It's a very good feeling to know that no matter what happens, you can have a delicious home-cooked meal to feed your family. I hope you and yours enjoyed this dinner as much as we did. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a cheese emoji down in the comments and check out this video next for another cheesy broccoli recipe. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.